I'm Talia Ricci. Tonight, a trench collapse at an Ajax construction site leaves multiple workers trapped.
This is fire's investigation as well as the Ministry of Labour. They're both still actively working on it.
We'll have the latest from the scene. Plus,
there is not a crumbling system in the province of Ontario. We have a very strong healthcare system in Ontario.
Politicians are back at Queen's Park for the first time since the election, as the Ford government faces more criticism over the crisis in Ontario's hospitals. And
certainly it was an audacious move on somebody to take a police car and engage this kind of activity.
A break-and-enter leads to a police cruiser with 2 dogs inside being stolen. We'll have the details on what happened next. We begin tonight with a developing story out of Ajax, where 2 workers remain trapped after a trench collapsed at the construction site this afternoon. Meg Roberts is live at the scene near Rosslyn Road and Westney. Megs, what's the latest?
Yes, it's harder to see now that it's dark, but the fire department has been on scene here working for the past 11 hours now. They're trying to remove 2 people that they believe are buried in the trench here at this construction site. 2 people have already been sent to hospital earlier today. One of them was airlifted to Sunnybrook Hospital. The excavator has been going almost nonstop today. We've also seen fire crews carrying shovels and stretchers. There also was a truck pumping water out from the trench earlier tonight. There's still no confirmation from authorities on the status of the workers that are buried here, but as you can imagine, it's an unbelievably somber scene here. The family has been out and they are waiting. Also, because the construction site is so close to a nearby residential area, there's been a number of people who have been standing out here all day, waiting and watching and hoping for some kind of good news. We spoke to some of them a little earlier.
I just came to the park and there was the orange helicopter was in the park here actually, and then they got one guy out. He was actually screaming, so he was talking, and they put him in the helicopter, and it took off, and they had another one that they took away in an ambulance, but there's 2 others down there.
It's devastating, it's scary. I know a lot of people from what I see here, they're just in awe, like they're shocked. They all want nothing but the best to happen, but realistically, all you could do is send the prayers out to the families.
The road here on Rosslyn Road is still closed. It's unclear as to when it will reopen, but it looks like emergency crews are going to be on the scene for quite some time now. They've brought in the big floodlights in order to properly see this scene. The fire department has also brought in the compassion trucks for the family and friends to wait this out a little bit more comfortably. We also reached out to Durham Police. They said that there is no update at this time. Talia.
Thanks, Meg. That's Meg Roberts live in Ajax this evening. Ontario's legislature is back for a rare summer sitting. Today, members elected their next speaker, and already their first decision was a surprise for some MPPs, leading up to what could be a tense session. Lorenda Redekop has the story.
Doug Ford! Listen up! Doug Ford! Listen up!
A couple hundred people, most from unions, had a message for the Premier as they protested outside Queen's Park.
Repeal Bill 124!
Among those here, nurses, frustrated with their working conditions, low staffing, and the bill that caps their wage increase to 1%, though they did receive a one-time $5,000 top-up.
$5,000 is just something to quiet us down for a minute. That's how I personally feel about it.
Meanwhile, inside the legislature, MPPs elected the next speaker. In the end, Ted Arnott won. He was the speaker during the last session. Nominated by an NDP opposition member, seconded by a Liberal, in an odd parliamentary tradition, dragged across the floor of the legislature by them. He won against another PC MPP, Nina Tangri.
I am surprised that the government had made very clear the direction they wanted to go in, and we've just gone in a different direction today because, they have a significant majority in the House.
2 months since the election, it's the government that has a big majority, and yet the Premier doesn't seem to have the support of his caucus on a very substantial question.
But the new speaker says that Premier Ford never spelled out who his favorite pick was.
And every member of the legislature has the right to choose whoever they want to vote for in a secret ballot in a speaker's election.
That says we can expect many questions from the opposition about health care in this session, as some hospitals and emergency departments have had to close temporarily due to a lack of staff. Today, this from the new health minister.
Let's be clear, there is not a crumbling system in the province of Ontario. We have a very strong healthcare system in Ontario. It disturbs me, as I'm sure it does many, when they find that their local hospital has to close for 4 hours, a shift, a period of time. But to suggest that it is in crisis is completely inappropriate.
We expect to hear more from the government on health care tomorrow during the throne speech. It lays out their priorities. Also coming up tomorrow, they'll reintroduce their budget. The PCs tabled it but didn't pass it before the last election. Loretta Redicop, CBC News, Toronto.
With the start of school now less than a month away, students are learning tonight they won't have to wear a mask when they head back to class, unless they want to. Ali Chiasson explains.
I think we'll probably send her with a mask at least on the first day, and then we will sort of gauge where the rest of her class is at, and then see how we feel, what the numbers are like, and how she's feeling about being possibly one of the only kids with a mask on.
I'm kind of happy about wearing them, but sometimes I don't really want to.
Will you need to include face masks with your kids' school supplies this year? The quick answer is no, although some school boards will recommend that kids continue to wear them. But it is up to you. Schools will continue to have supplies should students want one.
There is actually no difference between when people left in June to what's going to happen in September.
There are other ways of reducing spread that the ministry has put in place with HEPA filters and ventilation.
We are turning the systems on earlier in the day. We're making sure that windows are open when they can be. I feel schools are safe. I feel they're as safe as anywhere else, basically, at this point.
What's also different about this school year is that we no longer have daily reported case counts.
I think most people determine how much risk they're willing to put up with, or what's acceptable for them and their family.
Did you wear one today in camp?
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned. I mean, it's the 7th, 12th, a millionth wave, so who knows? It is continuing, but I am a little concerned.
A lot of people are not wearing masks, so it gives the impression to people that COVID is over.
Infectious disease specialist Dr. Anna Banerjee says between now and the first day of school, have a talk with your kids and remind them.
There's still COVID out there.
And for parents specifically.
We know more kids are getting long COVID, kids are getting the inflammatory syndromes, and so get your kids vaccinated.
So now we know masks are optional but strongly recommended by medical professionals. Now it's up to you. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
GO Transit is asking for patience from commuters as it deals with staff shortages that are forcing train cancellations.
We have a changing labor market over the last couple of years, and so we've been busy recruiting and hiring staff, but right now we have a bit of a shortage. And now we have the added element of some staff illnesses, likely related to COVID.
Aiken says the cancellations are only affecting about a dozen trains daily. Both GO trains and the Up Express are being impacted. The issues could stretch into next week. GO is asking customers to plan ahead. The main draw at the National Bank Open got underway today. There were some big names on the court, including Serena Williams. But there is one that many are anxiously awaiting, 2019 National Bank Open champion Bianca Andreescu. This is her first time back since winning 3 years ago. The same year, she won the U.S. Open. And as Greg Ross tells us, fans were lining up to see her.
There's no doubt who the fan favorite is here in Toronto.
Bianca.
1, 2, 3.
Bianca Andreescu not on the court today, but it wasn't exactly an off day either, as she squeezed in meet and greets with fans between practice sessions.
The fan base I have here and everyone's love and support is it's unmatched.
It was great to meet her. It was awesome.
It was really cool.
Fans will have to wait until tomorrow to see Andreescu on the court in Toronto for the first time since winning the tournament in 2019. But there were still plenty of big names in action today.
Straight sets, but it wasn't easy.
23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams won her first match this afternoon against Nuria Parisas Diaz. For Williams, who hasn't played much in the past 2 years, this was her first victory in 430 days.
I mean, it's just one win, it takes a lot, but I was happy, like I said, to have a win. It's been a very long time. Forgot what it felt like.
Fans also getting to see some Canadian hopefuls on the court, like Rebecca Marino and Carol Zhao. They lost their doubles match this afternoon, but said it was nice to feel the love from the Canadian fans on home soil once again.
And not just in our own matches. Yesterday, I was walking by some matches where there were Canadians and the crowds were super into it, so it's really lovely to see that.
Yeah, even with our practices, people are coming out and cheering and that sort of thing. In our doubles today, we actually had a pretty good crowd, so it's really nice to see the community getting behind us here.
As for Andreescu, she's still working her way back into form after kind of a rocky start to this season. She's battled a number of injuries. She actually took some time away from the court to focus on her mental health, and now she's hoping that this homecoming and having the home fans on her side will be exactly what she needs. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Dahlia Ashry joins us now for a first look at the forecast, and still some of that humidity sticking around even after it rained.
That's right, Talia. I mean, the heat warning has been in effect until today. It was on Saturday and Sunday because that humidex is really ramping up the heat. But tonight there is a risk of a thunderstorm. We are going to get a little bit of relief from that humidity. Things are going to cool down a bit, and we should be expecting some dry conditions in the days to come. The daytime highs in Toronto today, 31 degrees, winds are 31. Those are the hot spots for the region right now today. And then we are expecting a little bit of rain throughout the night and a risk of a thunderstorm that we should be expecting. So there is a warning for that in effect for the area. And winds should be gusting pretty high in Toronto. It'll be 38 kilometers an hour overnight. And then as we head into tomorrow and Wednesday, the winds will start to decrease a bit. Tonight, what we can expect, temperatures will drop to 18 degrees in Toronto, Hamilton 17 degrees. As we head into tomorrow, it'll be 24 degrees, a little bit of humidity, but like I said, some relief. It'll feel like 29 degrees. Talia?
Thanks, Dahlia. The man behind an iconic Canadian punk band has been found dead, and his son has been charged with his murder. 65-year-old Gord Lewis was found dead in his Hamilton apartment over the weekend. Lewis founded the band Teenage Head. The group was formed in the 70s and is considered to be a pioneer in Canada's punk rock scene. Hamilton police announcing this afternoon they've charged 41-year-old Jonathan Lewis with second-degree murder. Former cabinet minister Bill Graham has died. Graham was born in Montreal but spent the bulk of his life in Toronto, including as a U of T law professor. As a Liberal MP, he represented Rosedale and Toronto Centre for 14 years, beginning in 1993. In the early 2000s, Graham became Minister of Foreign Affairs under Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, then Minister of National Defence under Prime Minister Paul Martin. He stepped away from politics in 2007. Olivia Newton-John has died at the age of 73. Best known for her starring role in Grease, she also had a number of hit songs in a career that started in 1963. She won 4 Grammy Awards and had several popular songs, including her biggest hit of all, Physical. Newton-John was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1992. She eventually went into remission but suffered a relapse 5 years ago. Grease co-star John Travolta paid tribute to her in a social media post. He wrote, "Olivia, you made all of our lives so much better. Your impact was incredible. I owe you so much." Her family issued a statement today as well, saying she had died peacefully at her California ranch surrounded by loved ones. Welcome back. Toronto police are calling one man's desperation to flee extraordinary after he stole a police vehicle to use as a getaway car. Dale Manukduk has the latest on a wild crash scene.
Now, the story starts here in the area of Yonge Street in Lawrence, where police were responding to a call for a break-and-enter shortly after 4 a.m. According to police officers, were searching the area when a man who was handcuffed jumped into a police K-9 unit SUV and drove off. He ended up crashing the car here, some 7 kilometers west. Lawrence Avenue was closed from Benton Road to Keele Street for a number of hours.
The subject that was driving the police car at the time, he actually exited the police car after the collision,
approached a number of vehicles trying to get in them, and then subsequently returned to the area of this taxi, attempted to get into that taxi, and was, by that time, the responding officer had arrived on scene and arrested the male in situ there. Well, as of 2:30 this afternoon, there are still crews here replacing a damaged traffic light. Police would not say if the suspect in the break and enter is the same person who stole and crashed a vehicle. We do know that that person was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. What we don't know is if there was any kind of struggle between that person and police officers.
The police dogs that were in the vehicle are safe and sound.
They have containment vessels within the vehicle that are humane and comfortable for them, but also protect them in the event of such an occurrence.
Investigators are still determining how the vehicle was stolen and if an internal investigation needs to take place. Police are asking that anyone with information or video surveillance contact them or Crime Stoppers.
Certainly it was an audacious move on somebody to take a police car and engage this kind of activity. It's just, it's extraordinary.
Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
Some festival goers say they feel like they were scammed after buying a ticket to Cultureland, a two-day Afrofusion R&B music festival. Just 30 minutes before the concert was set to begin yesterday, the venue was moved from Markham to Ajax. The announcement was made on social media.
You see the faces, give us a refund.
It's just a waste of money, and it's just like false advertisement. You're paid for a full day, but now we're only getting to like 6 to 11.
Sunday's festival was originally set to begin at noon, before it was relocated to Ajax and postponed to 6 p.m. Several artists who were booked for the festival were no-shows. In a statement today, Markham Fairgrounds said it was never paid by festival organizers to hold the event. The venue said it agreed to move ahead with the first day of the festival in good faith, but canceled day 2 when it didn't receive a payment. Meanwhile, attendees at Kingston Music Festival in North York say that show was a mess after concertgoers rushed the stage, pushing down the fence that separated the general admission and VIP sections. 5 people were treated by EMS during the festival, 2 of which were taken to hospital with minor injuries. It's not clear if any of those injuries are related to the gates crashing down. Musicians at the show used their time on stage to criticize event organizers. Many ticket holders for both festivals say they want a refund. Here's a live shot of the skyline this evening. Cloudy skies tonight, sitting at around 24 degrees. Dahlia's back now with our extended forecast. Dahlia, what's the rest of the week looking like?
Well, Talia, we had a heat warning in effect for Saturday and Sunday and even today during the day, but finally that heat warning will be lifted for the GTA and we're going to get a bit of a relief from that humidity and some dry conditions to come. But tonight we should be expecting some rain as well. The daytime highs in Toronto is 31, Windsor 31, so those are the hot spots for the region. Barrie 28 degrees, London and Hamilton a little bit on the cooler side for today's temperatures. Now, we did talk about the rain that we could be expecting overnight, about 30% chance of rain, but what we are looking out for is a risk of a thunderstorm and a severe thunderstorm watch for southwestern Ontario. Winds are going to be gusting quite heavily overnight. So Toronto overnight will be 38 kilometers an hour. As we head into tomorrow afternoon, that will start to decrease just a bit, but it'll still be at around 38 kilometers an hour, and then we head into Tuesday around noon and it will be 19 kilometers an hour. So a nice little breeze, but in the evening, that if there is a risk of a thunderstorm, that will be gusting quite heavily with the winds as well, and that rain will be mixing in. Hamilton 17 degrees overnight tonight, Toronto 18 degrees, and St. Catharines tonight 20 degrees. Now what we can expect for tomorrow, 24 degrees. Although the humidity is decreasing, it's still sticking around just a bit. It'll feel like 29 degrees. I mean, a huge difference from what we were feeling earlier today and Saturday and Sunday with temperatures that were reaching up to 40 degrees. Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday, it's a dry day, 27 degrees. It will get cooler. As we can see, there's a trend here. The nights will get cooler, which is something we need, especially for the past few days when temperatures at night were above 20. And Thursday, there's a 40% chance of rain. And then we kick off the weekend on a warm, dry note. Friday, 24 degrees. Beautiful skies, a mix of sun and cloud on Saturday, 26 degrees. And like I said, a cool down, 14 degrees by the evening. Talia?
Thanks, Dahlia. Canada's largest private sector union is electing a new president this week. Close to 2,000 Unifor members are gathering in Toronto starting today for their fourth constitutional convention. At the top of the agenda, picking a new national president after longtime leader Jerry Diaz stepped down. Diaz announced his retirement in March. Soon after, it came out that he was being investigated for allegedly taking money in exchange for promoting a COVID-19 test kit to his members. The Toronto Police Financial Crimes Unit has also opened an investigation. Toronto is looking to hire thousands of workers to staff the upcoming municipal election. A number of different positions are going to be available to work on Election Day, which is October 24th. The pay ranges from $235 to $425 for the day. In total, the city plans to hire about 15,000 people. Workers can also apply to work on advance voting days from October 7th to the 14th. Candidates must be eligible to work in Canada, be 18 years of age or older, and have a valid social insurance number. They will also need to be fully vaccinated for COVID-19. An aerospace manufacturer says it's putting millions more dollars into its Ontario facilities. News that was celebrated today by the province's economic development minister.
Your announcement of $21.4 million investment will not only advance operations with new technologies, but it, as you heard, is going to help, and I think these will be Premier Ford's favorite words today when we see him, reshoring. The fact that we're bringing this back to Ontario.
Cyclone Manufacturing says its investment will let it undertake aerospace work that's currently only done outside of the country. The Ontario government is also kicking in $1.5 million into Cyclone's expansion. 60 new jobs will be created and 100 others will be upskilled. Stay with us. Finally tonight, they say every dog has its day, and that is especially true in Northern California. Dozens of canines gathered on a beach near San Francisco on the weekend to compete in the World Dog Surfing Championships. The popular pooches competed in different classes, and they were rated on everything from technique to the size of the waves they rode. The event has been held in the San Francisco area since 2006. The pups and their owners seem to love it. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Good night.